evening and welcome to Bharat News on Bharat TV. I'm Anjali Swami bringing you the top stories making headlines today. In breaking news, a 15-year-old shooter was identified in a tragic Wisconsin school attack that left two dead. Meanwhile, in local news, a New York judge rejects Trump's immunity plea in the hush money case. And Trump's warm stance toward TikTok sparks further debates amidst mounting legislative challenges. Texas gears up to store border wall materials for Trump's incoming administration, while President Biden takes a firm stance on banning congressional stock trading. In Indian news, Prime Minister Modi's electoral reforms face a roadblock in Parliament, while BJP's absentee MPs face heat over the One Country, One Election bill. Finance Minister Sitharaman remains optimistic about India's GDP growth despite recent dips, and the government eyes machine-aided construction to revolutionize highway development. And internationally, a senior Russian general is killed in a scooter bombing in a suspected Ukrainian retaliation that escalates Moscow tensions. Authorities in Madison, Wisconsin are grappling with the aftermath of a horrific school shooting at Abundant Life Christian School. A 15-year-old suspect, Natalie Rupnow, who went by Samantha, allegedly opened fire, killing a fellow student and a teacher before taking her own life. Two critically injured students are clinging to life in the hospital, while three others and a teacher sustained non-life-threatening injuries. Police remain uncertain about a motive and have not ruled out the possibility of targeted attacks. Madison Police Chief Sean Barnes confirmed Rupnow's parents are cooperating with investigations, offering insights into her life and behavior. Despite the tragedy, they lost their child as well. Barnes noted, acknowledging their shock. Investigators are particularly focused on interviews with Rupnow's father while her mother remains out of town. With the community in mourning, counseling services have been mobilized for affected students and families as the nation questions what led to such a devastating act. In a pivotal ruling, Judge Van Merchant rejected claims of presidential immunity in Donald Trump's hush money case. Trump's legal team argued that evidence presented at trial pertained to his official acts, citing Supreme Court decisions granting immunity for executive duties. Merchant, however, stated that Trump's actions tied to falsifying business records were entirely unofficial and unrelated to his presidential functions. Trump, found guilty in May on 34 felony counts, faces sentencing amidst mounting scrutiny. Defense arguments emphasized Hope Hicks' testimony and Trump's 2018 tweets as official acts, a claim the court ultimately dismissed. With prosecutors presenting overwhelming evidence, Trump's team prepares for appeals. Though this ruling marks a significant blow, analysts suggest the case could set precedents regarding immunity for former leaders as the political and legal fallout continues to unfold. President-elect Donald Trump met TikTok CEO Shao Chu at Mar-a-Lago, sparking fresh debates about the app's future in the United States. Trump, who once sought to ban the platform, credited TikTok for helping him connect with younger voters during his recent campaign. However, bipartisan legislation forcing TikTok's Chinese parent company ByteDance to divest the app or face a ban has stalled negotiations. TikTok filed for Supreme Court intervention to delay the ban's implementation, citing immense financial and operational complexities. Congressional leaders warned tech giants Apple and Google to prepare for TikTok's removal by January 19. unless significant action is taken. Trump's reversal on TikTok reflects broader political realignments, even as security concerns over ByteDance's alleged ties to China persist. With additional meetings scheduled with Netflix and Amazon leaders, Trump's stance on digital platforms remains closely watched. In a bold move, Texas officials are preparing to purchase and store unused border wall materials being auctioned on by the federal government. Texas Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick pledged to acquire the materials, vowing to hand them over to President-elect Donald Trump to resume border wall construction in January. Patrick emphasized Texas's readiness, stating, "I've got $1 billion in my pocket to do it." Texas Land Commissioner John Buckingham echoed the commitment, offering state land to store the materials. The auctions, initiated after the Biden administration halted wall construction in 2021, have drawn sharp criticism from border security advocates who call the sales shameful. Officials from Arizona confirmed weekly auctions of wall components, fueling further outrage. Trump, describing the situation as almost criminal, promised to restart construction upon taking notice. With Texas leading the charge, the battle over border security continues to intensify as the new administration prepares to act. President Joe Biden has endorsed a long-debated ban on congressional stock trading, declaring that lawmakers should not profit from their positions of power. In a recent interview, Biden stated, "Nobody in Congress should be able to make money in the stock market while they are in the office." His remarks come amid growing public frustration over reports of lawmakers profiting from insider knowledge, particularly during crises like the COVID-19 pandemic. The issue has gained bipartisan support, but previous efforts to pass legislation have stalled in Congress. Biden's comments mark a significant shift, as he previously refrained from taking a firm stance on the matter. Advocacy groups are urging swift action, while critics argue that a ban could deter qualified individuals from seeking notice. With just weeks remaining in his term, Biden's endorsement adds momentum to a reform that could reshape public trust in Congress. Whether the proposal advances before the administration's transition remains uncertain. Indian news. Prime Minister Narendra Modi's flagship legislation to synchronize state and national elections faced a setback in Parliament. Law Minister Arjun Ram Meghwal presented the bill, emphasizing its benefits for governance efficiency and reduced campaign expenditures. Despite securing 269 votes in favor, the proposal fell short of the required two-thirds majority, with 198 lawmakers opposing it. The opposition strongly criticized the bill, arguing it undermines federalism and risks unfair advantages for governing parties. Congress leaders Shashi Tharoor highlighted the absence of a clear consensus and accused the government of attempting to bypass constitutional checks. Meghwal reassured that broader consultations through parliamentary committees would follow. Political observers note that while Modi's government remains determined, the lack of parliamentary majority could prolong efforts to implement simultaneous polls until at least 2029. The BJP faced internal criticism after 20 of its MPs were absent during the crucial introduction of the One Country, One Election bill in the Lok Sabha. The absence, though not obstructing the bill's progression, provided ammunition for the opposition to challenge the government's commitment to constitutional amendments requiring a two-thirds majority. The Congress and other opposition leaders highlighted the absences as evidence of a lack of consensus within the ruling alliance. Congress leader Shashi Tharoor stated, "This clearly shows the government does not have the numbers to push this constitutional change." The BJP has issued notices to the absentee MPs, underscoring the importance of their presence in significant legislative sessions. Law Minister Arjun Ram Meghwal defended the bill, reiterating that it will streamline the electoral process without altering the Constitution's basic structure. As the debate intensifies, political observers predict the government may face challenges in garnering broader support for the reform. Despite a dip in India's GDP growth to 5.4% in the second quarter, Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman remains confident that the economy will bounce back in the coming quarters. Speaking in the Lok Sabha, Sitharaman described the slowdown as a temporary blip, highlighting India's steady growth trajectory over the past 3 years, which has averaged 8.3%. Addressing concerns over inflation, the finance minister pointed out that retail inflation stood at a manageable 4.8%, the lowest since the pandemic, and emphasized the resilience of India's manufacturing sector. Sitharaman refuted claims of a broad-based slowdown, noting that half of the manufacturing sub-sectors continue to perform strongly. With India maintaining its position as the fastest growing major economy, she assured lawmakers that robust infrastructure investments and policy reforms would drive future growth. Analysts, however, remain cautious, citing global economic uncertainty and domestic fiscal challenges as potential headwinds. The Indian government is set to transform highway infrastructure through automated machine-aided construction (AIMC). Announced by the Ministry of Road Transport and Highways, AIMC aims to improve efficiency, quality, and timely project completion. The National Highways Authority of India has piloted AIMC on the Lucknow-Kanpur Expressway, using advanced technologies like GPS-aided motor graders and intelligent compactors. The method integrates digital twins and real-time data, ensuring adherence to design specifications while reducing waste. With India's 3,000 kilometers of high-speed corridors planned to expand by 45,000 kilometers by 2047, AIMC promises to address concerns over substandard construction and improve transparency. Analysts see this as a pivotal step in positioning India as a leader in smart infrastructure development. In international news, in a dramatic escalation of hostilities, Russian Lieutenant General Igor Kirillov was killed by a scooter bomb outside his Moscow residence. Kirillov, head of Russia's Chemical and Nuclear Protection Forces, had been accused by Ukraine Security Service (SBU) of war crimes involving banned chemical weapons. The SBU claimed responsibility for the attack, calling Kirillov a legitimate target in Ukraine's defense against Russian aggression. The blast, triggered remotely, marks one of the highest-profile assassinations since the conflict began. Russian officials labeled the incident as terrorism, vowing severe retaliation against Ukraine. Dmitry Medvedev accused Kyiv of attempting to distract from military losses, signaling intensified countermeasures. Analysts view this as part of a broader Ukrainian strategy to disrupt Russian leadership, even as Russia advances deeper into Ukraine's eastern territories. With both sides doubling down, the conflict risks further spiraling into new theaters of violence. That's all for tonight's bulletin. Thank you for tuning into Bharat News on Bharat TV. Stay safe and see you next time.